So, in an effort for me to represent backwards design, I want to talk about what led me to choosing Padlet as the tool for my lesson for today. Starting with learner centered design, that's really where we begin with equity in learning and teaching, is to think about who we are teaching. So, in this case, it's an all girls school. And it's a high school with kids aged 14 to 18, what they need. So at the time I was working there and I was running weekly advisory lessons. And so I felt like they needed a sense of community. We were coming out of the pandemic. They hadn't had a lot of time to bond, appreciation for role models, and most importantly, the ability to be heard. And that's important. And we're going to come back to that as we talk about universal design for learning. The barriers they face, typical high school, teenage barriers, but mainly focusing on that feeling unheard. And how I felt this learning experience would help is it gives them a chance to talk and discuss in person, but then they also get that digital aspect and the ability to choose how they really want to be heard, because that really is what's most important. Keeping all of that in mind, I started to think about backwards design. So the result would be that they would be able to discuss important family figures in their lives. The assessment evidence would be the Padlet and them showing this woman that they admire or this girl they admire and a short reasoning. And then the learning activities is that the teachers would prepare a slide deck just to get discussion going, get their brains working, a lot of turn and talks. And then eventually they would receive the link to this Padlet in their Google Classroom of women we admire. So now that we have centered ourselves with our learners, with our high school girls at this all girls school, we have centered ourselves with backwards design and where we're headed. I want to get into universal design for learning and actually look at the Padlet that I made and used with students. Now, all of these pictures and all of this material has been approved by the school and by the parents to be shared. And so I just want to say that before I get deeper into the content. So as you can see, they were able to represent it however they wanted to, which speaks directly to universal design for learning. It speaks to that engagement, providing them access and choice in all these different realms of how they want to present what they're saying. So when they get onto the Padlet, they click the plus sign over here, and then it allows them to choose between the different ways that they want to represent what they're trying to say. So they could do a link, which would be a video. They could upload their own like file. They could upload their own picture or search a picture. They could also take their own picture. There's also 13 other attachment types. So when I say they are really allowed that choice in how they communicate, they can even do an audio recorder. So if when they decide to explain, their important figure, their important role model, and they don't wish to type it, they don't have to do that. So I really do love offering these students this opportunity to do that, especially in this specific realm, because they were feeling unheard. And so to be given the opportunity to share how they feel in different realms was really important, which speaks to the action and the expression. So they were supported in this multiple media. There's multiple different ways that they were able to communicate. And if we scroll, we can see that some of them did choose to go the traditional route, which is just to pick the picture and to write the caption underneath. But if we go down a little further, we can see that some of them chose to use a GIF with Nina Simone over here. Some of them chose to get funny and pick up funny picture. Some of them chose, links. As you can see, this is like hyperlinks, so they could click that. It was just amazing to see all of them sharing. And as you know, or may not know, with Padlet, it updates live. So I'm watching all of them add to it. They're watching it, and it's building a sense of communication and collaboration. And so I really do feel like this solidified the level of sisterhood within the school that I was working at. And I was grateful for Padlet for allowing them to have this level of equity when they are talking about important people in their lives.